Okay, hello, salam sejahtera everyone. This is Jonathan Rizal and I'm coming here with 4.34 darjah 3 of your chapter 4. We're going to talk about the era peralihan kuasa British di negara kita with the reaksi penduduk tempatan terhadap Malayan Union. Everyone, please take a look at page 100 of your textbook. So, if you need a small recap, in 4.1, we talked about the introducing of how the British tried to come in, how to re-enter our country. And if you remember, they used the BMA system, which is the British Military Administration. But you see, failed, did not work at all. So, in 4.2, they derived a strategy to start Malayan Union, and 4.2 was discussing about how Malayan Union came to be. We talked about the whole issue we had with the keyword here being kewarganegaraan, which means your citizenship. Okay, we mentioned about the principle jus soli that you will see again in the future. Okay, we mentioned this. Then we mentioned how we have a certain someone called Michael. Alright, come over and try to get the signatures of the multiple sultans and rulers to officialize Malayan Union. Now 4.3, we're talking about how the people, penduduk tempatan, not just your rakyat, which is your regular citizens, but also the kings, right? The sultans in question, what were their reactions to this Malayan Union implementation? Okay. So, without further ado, I'm going to start first with cara bantahan Raja Melayu. Simply put it, they did not take it lightly, okay? It was not a good scene for the British. Bantahan means, how do they go against? Bantahan means you are going against something, membantah. So, how did they do this? How did your Raja Melayu? Because there's a difference between rakyat and the kings. Well, first, the textbook dives in where faktor penentangan Raja Melayu is because Malayan Union dianggap merupakan bentuk penjajahan secara mutlak oleh kerajaan British, meaning that the Malayan Union was seen as something that was just a shape, a way for penjajahan, which means colonization. So I'm going to put this over at the side here. Penjajahan oleh British, for the British people to colonize all over again. Secara mutlak means 100%. Okay? 100% control. Then, Sultan Melayu kehilangan kedaulatan dan kuasa politik. Meaning that, why do we say it is 100% colonization? It is because with the implementation of Malayan Union, your sultans, your leaders of Tanah Melayu lose their power. Kehilangan kedaulatan. Kedaulatan, if you don't remember, in the first chapter we already jelaskan what kedaulatan is, your 1.3. Kedaulatan is referring to kuasa tertinggi, okay? The symbol of your king's power. Then kuasa politik. That means if your king can even control the politics, alright? It is not determined to them anymore. So, what are the ways the kings decided to go against? Number one, the most interesting one if you ask me, membawa kes Malayan Union MU. You cannot write the short form, I'm just putting it here for easier understanding, ke Mahkamah Tinggi British. Now, Mahkamah Tinggi means the High Court of British. Sorry, here's an error here, it's actually not British, it's actually England. Sorry for that. Okay, so it's the location, not the British people. Bringing the case of Malayan Union to the High Court. How so? Well, if you look over to the bottom with the red box, Persidangan Raja Melayu di Istana Iskandariah Kuala Kangsar, which is a place in Perak, pada bulan April 1946 memutuskan. Memutuskan means you make the decision untuk mengemukakan. Okay, mengemukakan means what? To open up, to discuss, okay, to bring the topic up. Mengemukakan bantahan melalui Mahkamah Tinggi di England. So they were gonna do their punya bantahan at the High Court of England. So who was coming along? Well, Sultan Perak. I'm gonna do the crown symbol for the sultans. Perak Remember Kuala Kangsar, this istana is already a Perak land. So of course you must remember Sultan Perak, then Sultan Kedah, and Sultan Johor. How do you remember these states? Number one, Sultan Perak, because this happened in his istana, with Baginda's istana. It happened over at Kuala Kangsar. For Kedah, if you remember in 4.2, we talked about how angry, how these sultans were pissed off and everything, how they were tricked. Sultan Kedah is one of the most aggressive, reactive, if I will, sultans out there. So that is the reason why they would just go straight up. I need to see the High Court of England. Now for Johor, Johor is just known to have a good relationship with the British people. Thus, it seems like they're like, hey, I need to actually discuss this. Are you truly doing this? Right. Sekiranya Sultan Perak, Kedah dan Johor berangkat ke England. Berangkat meaning what? They went over to stay there. Berangkat. I'll put E for now. England. Sekiranya perlu hadir ke mahkamah, just in case they need to show up for the trial, for the court. Now, menurut sistem perundangan British, menurut meaning according to the laws of British, cara McMichael, if you don't remember the guy who got the signatures in the first place, McMichael mendapatkan persetujuan tidak sah. Meaning what? Mendapatkan persetujuan means you receive the agreement. Okay, I'm gonna put dapat for now. Mendapat tidak sah. Meaning what? It is not a legal way to do it. Meaning you cannot force someone, you cannot coerce someone. It has to be completely on their will, which is exactly not what McMichael did, or at least what the Raja Melayu are claiming. Okay? So those are your first points. Then we come to the next point, where not only did they just show up bringing the case to the High Court of England, they also sent surat bantahan. Surat meaning letters. So again, the same three sultans, your Sultan Perak, Kedah, Johor. Alright, this gang of people. Sultan Perak, Kedah first, Kedah, then Johor. Okay, menghantar dia punya surat bantahan ke London kepada siapa? George Henry Hall. His name is alright. George Henry Hall. Now mendakwa means it claims. So let me change up the color for this one. Mendakwa Baginda diperdaya oleh McMichael. Diperdaya means to be lied to be deceived. That's the word. Oleh siapa? McMichael. Okay. Now, beberapa orang raja mendakwa, so not just them, then other kings came forward. So after this, let me use yellow for this. Other kings came forward. Beberapa raja Melayu, okay, beberapa orang raja mendakwa, claim that they were diugut. That means they were threatened to sign the contract tanpa menyedari akibatnya. Tanpa menyedari akibatnya meaning without knowing the consequences. So menyedari means you're unaware. Akibatnya it is the consequence. Dan memohon means to what? Request. Memohon. British memansuhkan perjanjian ditandatangani, meaning they want the British people to what? Destroy. Memansuhkan. They want to abolish, okay, this particular wait, let me draw my perjanjian. This particular contract yang ditandatangani, that was already signed. Then another thing that happened, same here, menghantar, right? You have your Tuanku Syed Putra Jamalullah, which is your Raja Perlis, okay? So you can also say Raja Perlis without his name. Now Raja Perlis mengirim ataupun kirim telegram. Telegram, it is a little bit faster than a letter, so telegram. Kirim, that's your keyword. You cannot swap this for a different way. You can't say menghantar. Kirim telegram menyuarakan rasa tidak puas hati tindakan McMichael. Not claiming, but voicing out. Suara, that's your keyword here. Suarakan rasa tidak puas hati. dengan tindakan McMichael yang kerana baginda tidak diberikan peluang, was not given the opportunity to what? Untuk mendapatkan nasihat. Mendapatkan means to receive. Nasihat means any kind of advice or any kind of warning or help daripada pembesar negeri sebelum persetujuan. Okay? Then we come on to the next point. We've already talked about how they go over this to London, to England. Now I want to jump into where they menyokong Kongres Melayu. Now before I jump in, you're like, what? What is a Kongres Melayu? Well, this is connected to our later point here, mengadakan Kongres Melayu, which happens in penentangan rakyat. So I'm going to explain this first. So come over to your page, let's see, page 105. We're going to go through this point first. Now, what is the Kongres Melayu? Well, you will see. With your penentangan rakyat, one of the things that they did was mengadakan a thing called Kongres Melayu. Now, this was to become a perjuangan. Perjuangan means a fight, okay? Menentang Malayan Union. Menentang, which means to go against Malayan Union. Berkembang ke peringkat kebangsaan, okay? Berkembang means to expand. Ke peringkat means the level of kebangsaan, meaning in the country. Okay, so what are they trying to express here is that by having the Kongres Melayu, they were taking the fight of going against Malayan Union to a international level where every single state was involved. You're going to understand why this is so important later, because a small understanding is that, small explanation is that all the states, they had their own political parties, but they weren't grouped up together. So by having Kongres Melayu, it's the first time they were all united. So pemimpin dan kecendekiawan, cendekiawan meaning intellectuals, Melayu seperti Zaba. Okay, this is a name you should remember. Come, Zaba. Sorry, this is a small letter B. Zaba yang di Persatuan Melayu Selangor menghubungi. Menghubungi means to contact. Okay, this is another goal that you should remember. Let me just put a symbol for people. Dato' Jafar, come on now. You should know him by this point. Both of these people have shown up in chapter 4 previous, chapter 3 as well, the end of chapter 3, 3.9, and they've also showed up in your chapter 2. Okay, please remember these names. Dato' Jafar and your Zaba. Okay. Yang menghubungi Dato' Jafar with Johor, then Dato' Panglima Bukit Gantang, which is from Perak, and Tunku Abdul Rahman from Kedah. I feel like most people will know who Tunku Abdul Rahman is, so if you were to memorize any extra names, it would definitely be him from Kedah. Kedah Zai. Okay. Bersepakat untuk, okay, mereka, why they do this? Untuk bersepakat, to 合作起来, to work together, menubuhkan sebuah badan induk. Badan induk, what is that? Okay, that means like a motherboard in the sense where everyone is united together. So I'm going to put here like a motherboard where we're not, oh, it's a big group, it's all combined, all concentrated in one party. Dan at the same time to menjadi pemangkin menentang Malayan Union secara tersusun. Go against Malayan Union in a way that is organized. Pemangkin almost meaning a 有系统的way, that means an efficient way to do this. So what did they do? Well, on the 1st of March 1946 to the 4th of March in 1946, you will see that the Kongres Melayu diadakan di bangunan Kelab Sultan Sulaiman, Kampung Baru, Kuala Lumpur. Dan 41 pertubuhan Melayu menghantar wakil menghadiri Kongres. So let me come out to the side here. 41 parties, okay, 41 pertubuhan Melayu. They had their own wakil, they had their own representatives come and show up for the Congress. Dan mereka bersetuju, agreed. So let me use yellow for this. Bersetuju means to agree to menubuhkan your United Malays National Organization, otherwise known as UMNO. Can you write the short form? Yes, because your textbook does it as well. 2. Menentang. Now, what was the point of having the United Malays National Organization? Well, number 1, it was to memajukan orang Melayu, to ensure that the Malay people were on a steady field. They were all going to be very maju, very updated, very modern, sure. Dan menjadi penggerak. Penggerak means the main movement, the main thing that's pushing. Memupuk perpaduan. Perpaduan meaning 分工, not very 分工合作. Perpaduan meaning unity. Orang Melayu di seluruh tanah Melayu. So emphasis here, Melayu, Melayu, Melayu. Okay, Congress Melayu. Okay, should be quite easy to remember lah. So let's come back. Now you know what Congress Melayu is. Let's go back to how the Rajas could support your Congress Melayu. Go back to page 100 and then you should see what we say. The fakta here is Sultan Selangor Hisamuddin Alam Shah. Sultan Selangor works just fine. Selangor did what? Well, menderma means donated 15 15,000 kepada Persatuan Melayu Selangor, which means this is not to the entire UMNO exactly, but it's to Persatuan Melayu Selangor, which where the leader is Sabah. Okay, so Persatuan Melayu Selangor. Then baginda menjadi tuan rumah Kongres Melayu pertama. Tuan rumah means what? Host. The king became the host for the first ever meeting by the Kongres Melayu and merasmikan pembukaan Kongres. Merasmikan means to officialize, because rasmi means official. Merasmikan pembukaan, which means the opening of the Congress. Nothing much here. This is a very simple point to remember. Now, to the next point. Permaisuri Perak memimpin gerakan menentang Malayan Union. Okay, Permaisuri, if you don't know, means queen. Queen card. Okay, this is very simple. What I'm trying to tell you is that we have individual acts by Sultan Selangor. Now we're going to talk about individual acts by the Queen of Perak, where on the 1946, the May the 28th of May, ahli Parlimen British tiba di Kuala Kangsar, Perak. Perhimpunan besar-besaran di Padang Bandar Diraja Kuala Kangsar menunjukkan rakyat dan raja bergabung menentang. Perhimpunan means what? Perhimpunan means you have the gathering, you have the assembly. Okay? Besar-besaran, that means it's on a huge scale. Di Padang Bandar, which is the royal Padang, the royal Padang of Perak. Menunjukkan, showed what? Menunjukkan that both the king and the people were united, that they were absolutely not taking this Malayan Union rubbish from the British. So what they do? What specifically did your queen do? Well, Tuanku Permaisuri Perak, Raja Perempuan Kelson, merupakan ketua barisan hadapan perarakan bersama wanita negeri Perak. So, ketua barisan, that's your keyword here, ketua barisan, the leader, where the women were marching together, the women of Perak at least were marching together. Then, berjalan melintasi Raja Melayu, ahli Parlimen British, dan pemimpin Melayu berada di atas pentas. Dan semangatnya mengagumkan. Mengagumkan means mengagum, comes from the word kagum, this word, which means they were shocked. Like, damn, these women were standing up. Women were standing up. The queen was putting in effort in this. Holy shit, it was revolutionary. Now, to your final point, what did your Rajas do to show we were going against the Malayan Union? Memulakan upacara pelantikan Gubernur Malayan Union. Okay, memulakan means what? Comes from the word pula, which means island. So you put something on an island, you're separating it from the mainland. Thus, you're making a disconnect. You are almost boycotting something. So, Here comes the goat. Here, Dato' On Jafar. Okay, what did he do? Dato' On Jafar di hotel station mempersembahkan resolusi Kongres Melayu. Now, what did he do? Well, beliau, number one, memohon means to request. Raja-Raja Melayu bersama rakyat, meaning let's do this together. Because in your past history, we've seen the people go against the British, but the kings have always been, well, preoccupied listening to the British, which was kind of counterintuitive, where your people were going like, hey, free the British, and the kings were like, we're on the British side. More like we've been threatened to be on the British side. So they're like, Dato' On Jafar was like, hey, let's stand up for our country. Bersama rakyat, memboikotkan. Memboikot, as we just said, memulaukan. This is how you write memboikotkan. Upacara pelantikan Gubernur Malayan Union. This up. Dan ribuan orang Melayu berhimpun melaungkan Daulat Tuanku dan hidup Melayu. Daulat Tuanku just means to wish for the king to long live. So that means outside of the pelantikan, where they were like, okay, our new governor of Malayan Union, they were like, boo, Daulat Tuanku. This is the thing they were shouting. And Raja-Raja Melayu, what did they do? Well, Raja-Raja Melayu memulaukan, completely ignored it. They didn't even want to show up. Upacara pelantikan Gubernur Sir Edward Gent dan mengadakan sidang akhbar. Okay, this one I won't write it out here. Mengadakan sidang akhbar. That means they had a whole discussion on the news, alright, through the akhbar. We already talked about it in the chapter 2, how important akhbar and majalah is. So that is the explanation here. So we just jelaskan all about cara bantahan Raja Melayu. Now you might be curious, okay lah, go to Malacca High Court of England, right? Support by giving a lots of money, okay? We're marching out and boycotting a particular event. What did the people do? Okay, so number one, we come to the first point where we tell you there is the bantahan akhbar Melayu. As I've just said that the akhbar, right, just this newspaper outlets, they are incredibly useful to spread messages. So the first thing they did, bantahan Melayu, was through spreading out messages of going against the whole pertubuhan Malayan Union. So they give you contoh in the textbook. This one you've already learned in bab 2. So this is a recap. There's a utusan Melayu from Singapura. Melayu. See the connection here? Then there's a majlis. Again, 学过了 majlis. Starts with an M, Melayu. Then warta negara coming from Pulau Pinang. Okay, this one, hafal saja. It's not much. The next point, your kandungan, what's inside? Number one, menyuarakan, you're voicing out. I'm not spelling it right. Menyuarakan, bantahan dengan keras, dan mengecam dan mengutuk Malayan Union. That means, mengecam means to outright criticize, mengutuk, just straight up insult it in a sense. Malayan Union, merugikan orang Melayu, saying that with Malayan Union, you're causing orang Melayu to quit. We're losing here in a sense. Menyuarakan bantahan dengan keras. They were not sugarcoating anything, just straight up. Boo, 我讨厌 Malayan Union. Next point, menyeru orang Melayu mengadakan perhimpunan besar-besaran. This is the key point, perhimpunan. Okay, I'll write the Chinese word. Besar-besaran. Tak. Okay. This one, we know they did it with the Congress Melayu. They managed to achieve this one. Now, for your final point, melaporkan means to report. Report what? Melaporkan perkembangan, the spreading of news regarding penentangan orang Melayu. Okay? Melaporkan. I can put the dot and write finish. That's the first part. Now going on, we talked about the akhbar Melayu. Who is writing the akhbar Melayu? Well, of course, your intellectuals. Remember, golongan intellectual. Intellectual and cendekiawan is the same thing, except for the fact that cendekiawan is the Malay word. Intellectual comes from the English word. So who are the tokoh in charge? Alright, they give you a list of them in the textbook. Give you want to memorize all of them, that's completely up to you. For me, I'll just pick a few. Who do I recommend? Of course, Dato' Owen Jafar, the GOAT. Who else then? You have, okay, Dato' Nik Ahmad Kamil. Then there's Zaba, of course. Tengku Mohammed, Dato' Abdul Wahab Abdul Aziz, Panglima Bukit Gantang, which we already learned just now. So a great name to memorize. Wan Muhammad Yusof, Panglima Kinta Perak, dan Dato' Hamzah Abdullah. Okay, so what did they do? Mereka, I'm going to use blue for this. Menggerakkan, that means they were pushing. Menggerakkan orang Melayu to menentang, to go against your Malayan Union. Dengan berbagai strategi, pemimpin Melayu Johor Dato' Abdul Rahman Muhammad Yassin bantah British terus menjajah tanah Melayu. They were like, you are continuously colonizing tanah Melayu. So now from Cendekiawan, sorry. This is for your tokoh pentadbir Melayu, right? I should give me a second. Let me add an emphasis here. Let me add the word. Okay, I'll let's say pemimpin Melayu. Pemimpin Melayu, your Malay leaders. That's the first part, right? Then we also have things coming from the women and your bantahan bekas pegawai British. That means straight up people from the British. So let's talk about the women first, because feminism. So what are the names you can remember? Cikgu Zahara Abdullah, Halimah Tun Abdul Majid. Let me write them out really quick. Cikgu, these are teachers. They are educated, okay? Zahara Abdullah. From Batu Pahat. Batu Pahat is a place from, if I'm not wrong, it is from Johor. So now Halimah Tun Abdul Majid. There's also Saleha Muhammad Ali, Zahara Tamin from Selangor, Datin Putih Maria, Ibrahim Rashid, and Hasna Ishak from Pulau Pinang. Now, mereka merupakan benteng barisan hadapan menentang Malayan Union. That is the keyword here, menentang. You're going against MU. Dan di Batu Pahat, Cikgu Zahara Abdullah, ahli Pertubuhan Pergerakan Melayu Semenanjung Johor, berucap, this quote, jika apa sekalipun terjadi, kami kaum wanita akan turut mengembleng tenaga bersama-sama kaum lelaki bagi mendapat kembali hak-hak kami. This is a banger line. I have written it down in my diary, which is how inspirational I think this is, which means it probably won't ask you in the exam, maybe in the objectives, but the line says, despite whatever happens to us women will fight, we will mengembleng tenaga, means to bekerja sama, to work together. We women will work together with the men in order to get back our rights. Banger line, okay? Slay. To the final point, your pegawai British. Right, this is simple. With a few dudes here, Frank Swettenham, you've already heard this name before. Frank Swettenham, Roland Bradell, Cecil Clementine Smith, Richard Winstead, Frederick Weld, and George Maxwell. For me, I probably remember these lads. Mengkritik rancangan Malayan Union. Notice the word here that they didn't straight up use menentang, because menentang implies you're doing something very large in a sense. These are pemimpin Melayu, they're women, these are local people. But for the pegawais, I realized I did not write who they are. Pegawai. Okay, wait, hold up. Pegawai British. They're working for the British, so whatever they say is not as intense as the people living in Tanah Melayu. So, mengkritik, that's your keyword here. Rancangan Malayan Union. Now, I think you might know this name, George Maxwell in particular, because he is an author for a very famous book. I'm not sure if any of you have heard it before. Let me find the name of the book real quick. Ding, 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 ding. Damn, he's written too many books. Give me a second. Have any one of you heard of Animal Farm? This book is written by him, if you would like to know. Animal Farm is like a very cool book where they reimagine but basically they're imagining everyone as animals, and the pigs basically take over, where they chase out the farmers and animals take care of like the entire farm, and they represent dictatorship where they're like, oh, only four-legged animals can do this and like two-legged animals can't do that. And it's a very interesting discussion onto racism in particular. So yes, I would definitely look out for this name because I like reading and he's just a famous author. But we're going to, before I get too out of hand, let's come to the next point. Your bantahan persatuan Melayu. Okay, this is a lot simple. It's going to give you all of contoh. So let's run through this, right? Your bantahan persatuan Melayu, you have your groups, right? So you have your Syarikat Bekerjasama Am Saiburi, Saberkas, Persatuan Melayu Kedah, Persatuan Melayu Perak, Persatuan Melayu Selangor, Persatuan Melayu Johor. Yeah, so easy to remember. PM lo Persatuan Melayu, PM. Okay, Selangor, remember the leader is Zaba. Let me put the bracket here, Zaba. Then what, your PM for Johor, who's the leader? Dato' Un Jafar lo. Okay, Dato' Un Jafar. Okay, there you go. Then you have PM Perak, PM Kedah. Now, what did these Persatuan Melayus manage to achieve? That's your key word here. That's a... Okay. What did they manage to do? Number one, berjaya menghimpunkan orang Melayu. Menghimpunkan, we just said, right? It is to group everyone in one place. Berjaya succeeded in menghimpunkan everyone, orang Melayu, dari seluruh negara, from all over the country. Dan setiap lapisan masyarakat to membantah, okay? To speak up dan menjadi penggerak, menganjurkan rapat umum, which just means umum means general, rapat means like the relationship is close. So through this, they could easily push the movement where they're like, okay, that's it, we are not taking shit from you no more. And membantah tindakan McMichael. McMichael is getting cancelled for real. McMichael. Dan gagasan Malayan Union. Okay, this point of like penggerak lah, menghimpunkan, you've already seen before, especially when we come over here and to the previous point. So it should be very easy to remember lah. To the next one, bantahan di negeri Kelantan, Kedah dan Johor. Remember Kedah and Johor, number one very sensitive country that's known to be very reactive, a country that is known to have good relations with your British. What did they do? Okay, see, we're gonna go through this by country. So I'm gonna give everyone a symbol. This will be a heart shape, and you can be this star. Okay, first for your Kelantan, apa yang berlaku? Well, on the 15th of December, 10,000 people, guys, 10,000 orang berhimpun. They were grouped up. It was showed up di Kota Baru, and if you don't know where Kota Baru is, wow, what is up with your geography? Kota Baru is the capital of Kedah. Not capital of Kedah, capital of Kelantan. Semasa McMichael datang mendapatkan tanda tangan. This is way back in then. Mendapatkan. Okay. McMichael showed up to get the tanda tangan. 10,000 people were outside like, stop, no, this biatch 回来了. Next one, Kedah. Okay, Kedah buat apa? On the 19th of January 1946, 1946, ribuan orang Melayu. Ribuan means how much? 百多个人, man. But I'm just gonna write the word ribuan. Ribuan 不是百多个人, 千多个人, thousands of people. Orang Melayu Kedah berarak di Alor-Sedah. Now, orang Melayu berarak, that's your keyword here. Then Alor-Sedah is where, again, geography, guys, this is the capital of your Kedah. Okay, menentang, we're going against. Now, this was organized by the Kesatuan Melayu Kedah, Saberkas, Saberkas, which we just talked about on top, this side. Okay, ribuan orang Melayu berada di Aloseta. Kesatuan Ulama Kedah also help, and your Persatuan Melayu Kedah. Personally, I will remember this one lah because PMK Kedah so easy to remember ma. Then Tuan Haji Hussein Cedo yang dipertua Kesatuan Melayu Kedah dan Senu Abdul Rahman Setiausaha Agung Saberkas mengkritik kandungan kertas putih yang dianggap mencabu means to invade kedaulatan bangsa Melayu. You're invading the honor of the orang Melayu. Now to the final state, Johor, where on the 10th of February 1946, Pergerakan Melayu Semenanjung Johor dipimpin oleh my goat, Dato' On Jafar, berhimpun menentang 20,000 people. Meaning, who is winning the numbers game right now? Definitely Johor, Kelantan, dan Kedah. 20,000 people, orang Melayu, berhimpun di Bandar Batu Pahat. Okay, Batu Pahat is not the capital of Johor. Now, berucap mengesah orang Melayu bangkit bersatu menentang. They were calling. Mengesah means to call out to all the orang Melayu. We need to stand up for each other. That's it. Then we go to mengadakan Congress Melayu, but we've just talked about this, right? All you need to know it is a way for everyone to group up together. Okay, you see this particular point. Okay, wait. Let me use it. This, the Bantahan Persatuan Melayu. They were like, okay, we have a lot of groups, but now we need to find a way to have a united front. This is the connection between these two. Then to the final one, the United Malayan National Organization, UMNO, menganjurkan bandahan secara besar-besaran. By the way, UMNO is still a thing till this day. You might have heard they're booming right now in the political world. Just for you to know. So what did UMNO do? Oh, wait. Before I go into this, I did not mention one part for your Congress Melayu just now, which is the Hari Kematian. So let's go through this a little bit quick. On the 11th of May 1946, UMNO ditubuhkan di Istana Johor. So it was formed there. Melalui Kongres ini, UMNO melaksanakan beberapa perkara penting untuk memajukan orang Melayu. We talked about this, right? Penggerak, memupuk persatuan orang Melayu. Dan hari lahirnya Malayan Union dianggap sebagai hari kematian oleh orang Melayu. Let me find a section. Okay, let's use this area to talk about this. See, the moment we had your Malayan Union, the Malay people, your orang Melayu, saw this as Hari Kematian. And if you don't know what kematian is, let me draw a nice face to show you. Yeah. Oh, kematian. They thought of this as the day, like a funeral essentially. They're like, this is like the death of our country. And that's precisely itu meruntun hati ribuan orang. It ruined the hearts of many people. And how did they respond? This is how he did it. Perisa itu, okay, orang Melayu berhimpun memakai lili. Okay, I wanted blue for this. Lilitan kain putih disongkok sebagai tanda berkabung. Has a way to show this is it. Tanda berkabung. This is a funeral. We're gonna bury our country alive. Menjadi semboyan memanggil orang Melayu dari seluruh negeri menyertai kongres yang menjadi obor pembakar. Obor means, let me draw it out. Pretty good drawing. Trust. Okay, fire. You see it? The torch. Okay, there was no need to draw it out. But UMNO, this is what UMNO is in the eyes of the Malay. UMNO is your torch that is burning the semangat of the bangsa Melayu. Okay, so by the way, this means that on the Malay people, they wear their songkok. That's not what songkok looks like. The songkok, they add white kain onto it. Now that is a very ugly drawing, so let's not keep that in. Now we can move on to the final part of this entire chapter. UMNO menganjurkan bandahan secara besar-besaran. Okay, it's gonna be a lot of facts, but they won't be that important, so let's just run through, right? What did they do? pada hari kematian. Well, tunjuk perasaan besar-besaran menentang Malayan Union mereka semasa ahli Parlimen British LD Gammons and David Rees Williams membuat tinjauan berkaitan penentangan orang Melayu. They knew as soon as these pegawai coming in, this was going to be official, how the British were going to look at Tanah Melayu. So they put in their A game. You see, there are 6 states, 6 cities that did something in particular. These are all the, okay, not all, but most of them are the capitals. So listen up. First state, we have incoming contender, Alostar. Kata. So, ribuan orang memenuhi tebing jalan raya dari Titi Bumbung 5 hingga bandar Alostar membantah. It means thousands of people were showing up. Now, I'm just going to write the numbers because that's like an easier way to grasp how many people were there. 50,000 people menyertai rapat umum di bandar Alostar. Okay, we already touched about this. Won't go through more. Now, next, at Pulau Pinang, Padang Francis Light School. Chevrolet, there's a Francis Light School. I didn't even know that was a thing. Rapat umum diadakan. Mereka membawa sepanduk, meaning a banner, sepanduk. Bertulis, hubankan perjanjian McMichael yang mempamerkan kebencian kepada McMichael, the hatred towards McMichael. Laungan hidup Melayu bergemuruh di udara. Gemuruh jiwa. Hidup Melayu is their slogan. Next. I actually didn't write what state this is. It's kind of goofy. Pulau Pinang. Okay, Francis Light School. Let me put that here. Francis Light School, the Padang. Okay. Now, the next part. Ipoh Perak. What do they do at Ipoh? Well, for them, orang ramai berhimpun di Pekan Ahad Jalan Datuk Ipoh Perak membawa sepanduk, which means banner, yang showed up. Kami berhendak kenaungan, bukan penaklukan. We want to be protected, not to be colonized, not to be taken over by. Jangan kecewakan kami. Do not disappoint us, which is wild. Dan laungan hidup Melayu. See the same thing here. Hidup Melayu, long live the Malays. Next point, which is where they say your KL Kampung Baru, still a place to say lah. Kampung, okay, I'll put a short from KG Baru for KL. What did they do? Well, ucapan pemimpin Melayu membantah menyambut kedatangan Gamas dan Rees Williams dalam rapat umum di Padang Kelak Sultan Sulaiman Kampung Baru, Kuala Lumpur. Number 5. Klang Selangor. Okay, Klang is a mean way to say it. Klang Selangor. Orang Melayu berhimpun di Padang dan perkarangan Istana Alam Shah dan membantah. That's it. Finally, Seremban Negeri 9. Seremban Negeri 9, orang ramai berbaris panjang di jalan masuk istana membawa sepanduk yang bertulis kekalkan takhta kerajaan Raja-Raja Melayu dan McMichael ialah imperialist. That's my favorite. I'm gonna write this. McMichael is an imperialist. As if the entire British army isn't. Sorry, that's mean. Ta-da! Now, if you notice the similarity between these 4 at least, is the mention of Rapat Umum. So if you really cannot remember anything, just know that these 4 mention Rapat Umum. The 2 at the bottom here, they're more general. They don't focus on this. But you see the united front here is that through all of this, your 2 pegawais, LD Gamans and David Rees Williams were like, Shabro, we need to do something. These people are pissed off. Look at how much I wrote today. They're so mad. And comes our conclusion to 4.3. Thank you so much. I am so thirsty. Goodbye.